Rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, all the brothers, sisters, children, elders around the globe. I welcome you all with the Islamic greeting. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is our first Ramadan live streaming on the book, The Final Constitution, Al Quran, which I'm in the process of writing, and I have completed 20 chapters, which are very short chapters, and they are taken from the body of Quran, and the analysis has been provided to the best of my knowledge and abilities. So it is a hope and a request for all the believers, Muslim men and women, to read this book and benefit, inshallah. This book, the reason why it's called the Final Constitution is because Quran is a beautiful spiritual book from which every ruling has been derived and is derived. So when we talk about the Quran, we say that the manners of life and the running of every daily life of Muslims, men and women, and the humans can be taken out from Quran and must be taken out from Quran in order to live a happy life and in order to live a life that is acceptable in the light of and in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So I would start off with quoting Surah Al-Baqarah, which is the chapter number 2, verse number 57. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. وَظَلَّلْنَا عَلَيْكُمُ الْغَمَامَ وَأَنزَلْنَا عَلَيْكُمُ الْمَنَّ وَالسَّلْوَىٰ كُلُوا مِنْ طَيِّبَاتِ مَا رَزَقْنَاكُمْ وَمَا ظَلَمُوا وَلَكِنْ كَانُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ يَظْلِمُونَ. In this beautiful verse of Quran, the topic today we've taken is intellect. And it is a very unique topic, not many of the people talk about. And we need to understand that Quran is not a book that only talks about how to pray salah. Quran is a book that talks about the livings and understanding of your daily affairs. And in this beautiful ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about the intellect. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about the hikmah of a human being. So what is the translation of this ayah? And we gave you the shade of clouds and sent down to you manna wa salwa, manna and quails, saying that eat of the good things we have provided for you, but they rebelled to us. They did no harm, but they harmed their own soul. So it says, eat of the good things we have provided for you, but they rebelled. So who rebelled? The humans. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about the humans of the time when, manna wa salwa was given. It was the time of the Yehudis and the time of the people who believed in the book of Torah. So they rebelled to us. They did no harm. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that they did not harm Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or the creation of Allah. They did not harm the wisdom of Allah. They did not harm the power of Allah. What they did, they harmed their own soul. So now it is something that the reason why I put this in the brackets of intellect is for us to think that how a human being can be so selfish without seeing the long-term consequences. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying in Quran that when you talk about any decision in your life, when you are about to decide anything in your life as a believing woman and a man, we need to understand, we think about the long-term effects of that on your life. And indeed, those long-term effects are not going to harm or benefit Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are going to directly and indirectly harm the humans ourselves. So, and we gave you the shade of cloud. So Allah has bestowed the shades of cloud. Allah had given the believer of the time the shade under which they could survive and they could maintain the hope and peace. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, shade of clouds mean Allah had given them, no worries at the time. And sent down to you manna wa salwa. So Allah had sent down to them the food. In the hadith it says that, the birds used to come in a flock. The quails, the batir in Urdu language they say. They used to come in a flock of birds and they used to stay in the gardens, they wouldn't fly. So any human at the time could catch them and he could actually use that as a dish for the day. And some of the muhaddithin have said that the taste of those quails were different every day. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had put a different taste in those quails on a daily basis, on a regular basis. So a person would not be able to taste what they tasted before. Subhanallah al-Azim. So what the humans did, at the time they said, no, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we don't need. And I'm going into the explanation. I don't want to go out too much from this ayah which I've quoted, but just to give you give you an understanding that the people of the time said, give us the vegetation, give us the crop, O Allah, and then we will grow everything by ourselves, what we need, the lentils, the vegetation, and we would like to actually taste something different. So on that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I had given you the blessings, and I'd given you the peace and tranquility. I'd given you everything you needed, but yet you was not happy, you was not content. So it is a topic you can use under the brackets and under the understanding of being content and being happy and thankful, being shakir. However, the reason why I've chosen this under the topic and under the title of intellect is at that time, the human intellect wasn't being used. The human wasn't clever enough to trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's wisdom and will. And sometimes what could happen is the intellect can be blurred. Intellect can have a curtain in between, when a person is taking a decision, because a person's selfishness can make a person blind. And that's all I'm discussing this ayah, is that when we are making decisions, we do not become blind and we do not see what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants and wishes for the human beings. Because indeed, as a Muslim and as humans, we understand Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it better for the humans to, Allah has chosen what is better and beneficial for the humans. And Allah is a creator of the mankind. Allah will never give us something that's not in our benefit and in our, use. So it's important to understand when we are struck by the effects of our daily lives, and when we are struck by the unhappiness or something that's a misery or a worry for us, we need to always be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and thank Allah and use that intellect to see there is a bigger picture beyond what you can currently see. And by saying this, I would like to also mention that Allah had given all the good things that He had provided for the people of the time as humans, but they rebelled and they did not harm Allah, they harmed their own souls. Now what they had to do, they had to grow the vegetation. They had the problems of getting the water to the vegetation and planting. And on top of that, they worked hard day and night in the fields. A life before that was much more easier and happier. But as a human tries to think and use this mindset, he or she can go beyond and into the realms and into the areas of uncomfort and discomfort. So it's also important to understand how we link that as ulamas and the students of today, how we link this intellect to what's happening in 21st century, in 2025. We can easily conclude and deduce that the human technology and the technological era is so advanced with the artificial intelligence and all these things that are unwrapping on a regular basis. The pace of humans is so quick that humans ourselves, we are not able to keep up with that pace. And this will indeed be a destruction, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillahir Rahman wal Asr, Innal insana lafi khusr. So oath be on the time, indeed the man is in great trouble. So we need to understand that a man, ourselves, we have created this destruction for ourselves by being so advanced that we cannot handle this advancement by our very own hand. And very soon we might be relying on the gadgets and the projects and the products where we won't have any control and we will have the least control, and that control will be in the hands of a few who will be able to dictate the world the way they want and the way they would like. So it's important to understand that we use our intellect, but do not overuse your intellect and go into the areas where it does not benefit the humans, because everything has to be in the control of your own. If it's not, then you don't have it. It is your enemy. And to my understanding and to the understanding of Islam, if something is not in your control and you are producing or creating such a robot or such a machine that you can't even deal with, then sooner or later it's going to be a source of trouble for you. Technology is great, but as long as it benefits and it helps the human beings to be better. But today what we see that the harms are greater than the benefits, and we need to be very wise in understanding that the use of intellect has to be in the right place. Do not ask for certain things or do not create certain things which might be a burden for you in such a way that in this ayah that we link in 21st century in 2025, that back in the days the people of the book at the time of Torah or before, the people of Dawood alayhi salam and before, they are the people who chose manna wa salwa. They're the people who did not choose manna wa salwa, and Allah's blessings were taken away from them, and they were given the vegetation and crops in the return, and they created they demanded something that would destroy or make it harder for themselves. And today we are still cultivating the crops, we are still harvesting the crops, and we are still working day and night to feed our bellies and to feed ourselves. If we had stayed on the hikmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and stayed humble, we did not want to be too technological back in the days, then today still your food would be served in your gardens, in your homes, at the peace of your beds, and humans would not need to struggle. The only thing we would need to then do is to pray 24/7 for Allah subhanahu in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it is important to, brothers and sisters, understand that a human selfishness can dilute the mindset and the brain of a human, and instead of them deciding something good from their intellect, they start deciding what is harmful for them. That is the reason why the use of intellect, the use of the aql, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given as a blessing, has to be in a positive way. And to my understanding of the ilm is that it doesn't matter what the thing looks like. Sometimes a good thing, what it looks like to be good, doesn't have to be good in its use, in its effects, and in its being. So we need to understand that we choose what is right by the book of Allah and the Sharia of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the final messenger, so that the final constitution, which is Quran, this becomes a part of our lives, and we start taking all the aspects from Quran in running our day-to-day affairs. So I would also like to say, in my book analysis I've written, that man from day one has been arrogant and in haste. When Allah used to send manna wa salwa, food from the heavens, man asked for vegetation and crops, so therefore wanted to impose hardship onto himself. This defines manly intellect, which is bound by short-term thinking and is in place asking for what he does not have knowledge about, and chooses glitter which may not be gold. So on this, I would like to also say, very soon I'll be publishing this book, in which there'll be 20 chapters, a very short, thin book, which everyone can read and benefit from in a daily life, because Quran is a reminder for humans. It is a reminder for the believers, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says it is a glad tidings for the believing woman and man, and it is a burden over the disbelievers. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this video be a source of blessing and change of minds for the people who are on disbelief, so that they can start believing in the best package, I call it, which is Quran, and the best constitution, which is Quran, because it is the final constitution of life. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.